Most people marry someone they shouldn't even marry. They get into relationships with people they shouldn't get into relationships with. They see all the red flags, but then they ignore it, thinking that the person will change. But they don't. And they think just by giving it more time, things will get better. But people rarely change who they are at the core. Who they are is just who they are. And they stick through these bad relationships. Unhealthy, toxic relationships. And then when you're with this person for a couple of years, then they find another reason to stay. And then they think to themselves, well, it's already too late. They don't want to leave and start all over again. Since they already been with that person for a couple of years, they just settle. And then they get married thinking that marriage is going to fix everything. And it doesn't. So then they get married, start a family, but then you got more responsibilities and more things that you have to deal with. And then when you have new problems and then you add on the old problems and the fact that y'all don't really even get along, it starts to become very stressful. And then you think about divorce. And going through a divorce isn't easy. When the family breaks apart, that's not an easy thing to go through. And then you're going through that on top of all the stresses in life. Working a job that you don't enjoy. And then you wonder why your life is falling apart. Because you should have never even married this person. You should have never even got into a relationship with this person. Most people get into relationships with someone that they're physically attracted to, and they stay for that physical attraction, even though that person doesn't have the personality that they're looking for. They don't get along. They're not compatible, but then they try to make it work. And if you ask them, would you be with this person if you weren't physically attracted to them? If they weren't your ideal type in terms of physical attraction, would you have even given them a chance? Would you have even stayed? If that person wasn't their ideal type in terms of physical attraction, they wouldn't have stayed. They would have never even gotten into that relationship. They would never break up and get back together over and over again. If the relationship wasn't compatible and they broke up, that would have been it. But the physical attraction makes the person want to keep trying. That's why you can't really ask people what they look for in a person. They'll always tell you personality is the first thing. Personality matters more than looks. But then when you look around and when you actually look at why people are in these relationships, they're always with someone that they're physically attracted to. So they can say looks don't matter, but looks matter to them when they're actually looking for a relationship. Because when you're being realistic, who's gonna be with someone that they're not physically attracted to? Rarely does personality keep the relationship together or keep the marriage together. Think about what happens in a relationship. Think about what happens in the marriage. The longer you're with someone, the less effort that you put in. You even let yourself decline. You don't even take care of yourself, and your physical appearance declines over time. You think, oh, you don't have to work out anymore, or you don't have to try anymore because you already have a girlfriend. Not realizing that your girlfriend doesn't even want to get intimate with you anymore because she's no longer physically attracted to you. You let yourself go. So you can't really listen to what people say. You gotta watch what they do. Think about when you put in so much effort to look good, when you get a fresh haircut, when you do work out, when you're wearing that nice button up, when you're wearing a suit, your girl gives you more attention because you look better. And then when you let yourself decline over time, you can see that she's more distant. She feels more distant because physical attraction plays a big part in a relationship. If your girlfriend is physically attracted to you, or if your wife is physically attracted to you, she can't get her hands off of you. She'll always want to be around you. She'll always want to get intimate with you. Now, there might be some days where she's too tired or she don't feel like it. But if it's every day, if it's been going on for months, she's probably not physically attracted to you anymore. What I realize is where society is heading. People like to say what sounds good, but that's not how it works in the real world. For example, accept a person for who they are. What if that person is a rude person and they're mean to everyone, but that's just who they are? Should they not change? Should they not learn how to be more respectful and be more considerate of others? They should be more respectful. They should want to become a better version of them. They should work on improving themselves. You should want to become a better version of you. In life, you either grow and become better or you decline as a person. And what you got to understand is people rarely change who they are at the core. People do change a little bit over time, but who they are at the core almost never changes. So a lot of times people get into these relationships that they shouldn't get into because they don't like who they are at the core and they want to change that. You can't change that. Who they are is just who they are. You have to find someone that you're compatible with from the beginning. And then you can work on things in the relationship. You can't get comfortable. You should still put in effort and maintain the relationship. Everything in life needs maintenance. People think it's all about getting things. No, you have to maintain the things that you get, or it's gonna get worse. Some people just think about marriage like it's something to celebrate about. It's something to celebrate about if that's actually who you want to be with. When you're in a good relationship, then marriage is something you should celebrate about because it'll actually make you happy. But when you're with someone that you're always arguing with, you can never work things out. Y'all are just not compatible. You're always stressed out. You spend more time stressing about the relationship than actually being happy. Marriage is not something to celebrate about because y'all will end up divorcing. So what is the point of this marriage anyways? And it's not to say that relationships won't have problems. Every relationship has problems, but a good relationship, you'll spend more time being happy in the relationship rather than stressing out. Your job stressing you out is different. It's about if the relationship itself is making you happy or not. That's how you determine if you should stay or not. And it's about being with someone that want to make the relationship better. And you also have to put in the effort to make the relationship better. You should be with someone that motivates you to be better. And that person should want to be better too. That way y'all grow together rather than growing apart. When you're in a relationship or when you're in a marriage, you either grow together or you grow apart. And you should be with someone that both of y'all will want to grow together with. A lot of marriages don't work out because no one wants to fix the problems. You can't avoid problems in a marriage or in a relationship. Well, a lot of people think if they're mad at you, you got to give them space. You have to talk about it. Why are y'all mad? What is the issue? How can we fix it? Giving them space sounds nice, but in reality, it never works. Because what usually happens is you give them space. Then a couple of days go by. They're no longer mad. You're no longer mad. And y'all just go about y'all day. And the problem never gets fixed. And then you end up having the same problem over and over again because you never addressed it. You never talked about it. You have to talk about your problems. You can't avoid problems your entire life because nothing is going to get better by avoiding problems. You got to fix problems for it to go away. Or what usually happens is one person wants to talk about it, the other person doesn't because they're too upset. They don't want to talk about it. They need some time. And then a couple days pass by, they're no longer mad at you, and then you want to talk about it. But then it's not something that they want to talk about. And then they'll say, why do we need to talk about it? We don't need to talk about it. It's over with. Or they're not mad anymore. They don't care. Why are you bringing it up again? That's what usually happens when they say, I need time. I need time to myself. Let's not talk about it right now. Rarely do they ever go back and actually talk about it. And when one person does try to talk about it, when things cool down, when they're not mad anymore, they'll usually try to avoid the problem. It's usually you want to talk about the problem, you want to fix it, or you want to avoid it. You have to be with someone that wants to work out problems with you. When there is an argument, when there is a problem, communicate. Don't try to avoid. You can't avoid problems forever. You'll always have the same problems if they're not fixed. Problems don't just go away. What usually happens in a relationship that always try to avoid their problems rather than communicating is over time there will be new problems. And you have these new problems on top of the old problem that you always avoided rather than talking it out. And it starts to get overwhelming. And over time, there will be more and more problems on top of all the old problems that you avoided. And then the relationship just doesn't work out. And sometimes avoiding problems do work as a temporary solution, but it's just temporary. And then when you get married and you start a family, and when you have more responsibilities and more new problems, then it starts to become overwhelming. Eventually, you can no longer avoid it. It becomes too stressful. There's too many problems. You're always arguing every day, and that's when a divorce happens. In life, you can apply a lot of the same rules to a lot of different situations. Just like how in a relationship, you can't avoid all your problems because they won't go away. In real life, you can't avoid all your problems because they won't go away. And you'll just have old problems on top of new problems and even more problems in the future. You have to fix the problems. You have to fix the root of the problems. A lot of times people just treat the symptoms. They think they can run away from their problems by eating ice cream, comfort foods, not talking about their problems, not acknowledging their problems, running away from their problems. And they wonder why their life just keeps getting worse and worse. Because you either fix your problems or you'll keep having the same problems. You can't run away from everything. You either get better or you decline. You either get better or you get worse over time. And a lot of people choose to get worse over time, because to get better means you have to work hard, means you have to be disciplined, means you have to be consistent in wanting to improve yourself. Whether that's improving yourself or your relationships or building your career. If you don't like your job, you have to look for a better job. If you think you deserve more, you need to ask for a promotion. Your boss isn't just gonna give you a promotion. Sometimes you have to ask. And if there's no opportunities for growth, maybe you're at the wrong place. You need to look elsewhere. And that requires getting out of your comfort zone. It's not easy, but if you take the easy route, you'll end up uncomfortable anyways. You'll end up sad anyways. You'll end up living the life you don't want to live anyways. Being comfortable and staying where you don't want to be and quitting is almost the same thing, because you're not living the life you want to live anyways. If you want a better life, you have to put in the effort. You have to be a little uncomfortable, because working hard is not comfortable. Going out into the unknown and the possibility of failing, it's not comfortable. Fixing problems is not comfortable. Avoiding problems is comfortable in the short term, but in the long term, you're not gonna be happy. And you'll wonder why you always gotta deal with the same problems over and over again. You're tired of it, but you've been running away from it the whole time. That's why the problems are still there. Fix it. What is the issue? How can you fix it? How can you make it better? And then you make it better. Things don't get better just by sitting around and avoiding things your entire life. And when you improve yourself and when you become a better version of you, slowly everything in your life starts getting better. Your relationships, your friendships, your career, your mood, everything starts getting better. And when you start feeling better, you start becoming more motivated. And every time you achieve something, you'll want to achieve more. You'll have a bigger goal. You'll feel better about yourself. Every time you win, you become more confident. Most people avoid their problems, and their life just gets worse and worse. And if you're someone who just gets things done, when there is a problem, you fix it. When you prioritize purpose and understand that you have responsibilities, and you take care of those responsibilities first, before you reward yourself, before you chase after pleasure, you'll get very far in life. Because most people, they avoid their problems. So if you don't, you're already ahead of most people. Most people will go out to eat at a nice restaurant and then not have enough money to pay their bills. And then they wonder why. Because instead of prioritizing paying your bills, you wanted to go eat out at a nice restaurant. You wanted to go on vacation when you didn't have the money for it. So if you take care of your responsibilities and you're a problem solver, you'll get far in life.